The Intern is directed by Nancy Meyers, also known as the Queen of the Feel-Good Comedy, and stars Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway, and is the story of a 70-year-old man, a widower, who answers an ad for a senior citizen intern at a very successful company that was started by Anne Hathaway. So naturally that's an interesting situation since interns are generally much younger than De Niro. He is now put in a situation where he is answering to someone else. He's being respectful to people who are much younger than him, and Anne Hathaway's character, who has a hard time relating to other people, has to then discover things about herself through an eventual friendship that blossoms with De Niro's character. But the film is really about the older generation versus the younger generation, not so much like butting heads, but the different ideologies of both of these generations, how an older person approaches something and how a younger person approaches something, the importance of taking a breath, of relaxing, of retiring from the hectic world and just taking a minute to appreciate your surroundings. And that's the large message of The Intern. And I went into this movie kind of like, I was like De Niroing it. I was like, it could be good. Circle of trust, Fokker. Circle of trust. That's my horrible De Niro impression, and I apologize for wasting all of your time. I was just sort of like going because it was out and I want to review as many films as I can, and I left the theater pleasantly surprised with the fact that not only is this not the cheesy, melodramatic, romantic comedy that I thought it was, it's a far more mature comedy, not a romantic comedy, that explores relationships and, as I've already said, the differences between the older and younger generation. And it's actually very smart and clever, and one of the main reasons that The Intern works so well is because of De Niro. This guy is a genius. We all know he's a fantastic actor. He's one of the best actors of his generation. He's one of the best actors still alive. And although he does do some iffy films every once in a while, when you see him in a good role, when you see him in a good film and a performance that really works, it just clicks and you're like, oh, De Niro, thank you. Because he truly is an actor. He's so warm and inviting in this movie, which is very different because even in films that are more lighthearted, like say Meet the Parents, he's still kind of a brick wall. He's like very intimidating and you don't want to mess with that guy. But in this film, you just want to wrap a blanket around yourself and ask him to read you a bedtime story. He's so good. As the film started, I was a little bit turned off by Anne Hathaway's character. She plays this very reclusive person. She doesn't like when people don't blink enough. She has all these little rules about people that bug her. She's very introverted, yet she works with all these people, which makes it hard for her. And at first I was like, is she going to be like this for the whole movie? And gratefully, as the film progresses, layers peel back, and you start to understand why she is the way she is, and her performance actually had a really nice arc, and I think they both did a great job. They had excellent chemistry with one another. And overall, this is simply a lighthearted, fun, fluffy movie. It's completely harmless. It's not going to do any bad to anyone. It's just a fun little film that you can go and have a date with, or maybe a father-daughter type experience, and just have a good time. And it really works in those restrictions. My main issues with The Intern, though, revolve around the characters and the plot, and the fact that many times in the film, the plot dictates what the characters do. I'm sure, as most of you guys know, the most important things to nail in a film are story and characters. If you have good story and good characters, that's what make people want to watch more. That's what keeps TV shows interesting. You want to keep coming back to watch even the not so great episodes of a show you love, because the characters and you love seeing them. That's what makes you want to watch every Harry Potter movie, because you love the Harry Potter characters and you want to see them go on adventures. And the best films are the ones in which the characters dictate the story, that you feel as if the characters are actually making this story happen. It's not throughout the entire film. There are a lot of scenes in which characters are just being likable and talking and having real mature conversations. There are just certain elements to The Intern in which it feels as if they're being boxed into the restrictions of said event or location, and it feels kind of like we need to have this happen so that our characters can do something interesting, rather than just the characters being interesting themselves and that being entertaining enough to watch. But in the long run, there aren't any glaring, terrible flaws with The Intern. As I said, it's a nice, fluffy little film that you can go and have a good time with your family or with your date, and I think it's totally harmless, and De Niro truly does give a great performance, and I loved seeing him in a role in which I could really examine his acting, because that's something I've always loved to do, is just watch how that man performs. I'm going to give The Intern a B. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And I want to remind you that my review of Duel is up. It's my first Steven Spielberg review. I'm not reviewing all of his movies. I don't have that time. But I'm doing a few of his films leading up to Bridge of Spies. If you want to check that out, it's on my channel now. Thank you so much as always for watching, guys. I really, truly appreciate it. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.